Hi guys, Christine here. So today I am here to talk about a different kind of topic. I've never talked about anything like this before because I don't really consider myself a tech person. But recently I've been getting a lot of questions about my iPad and my note-taking and everything like that. So I wanted to kind of, share my experience on using the iPad. And also, past 2 years, I think the iPad has gotten a lot more popularity with students and just people have been more interested in iPads because there's a lot more new functions to it. There's like newer kind of things you can do with it. Hope this video will help you guys decide if getting the iPad is right for you and my experience on using the iPad versus the laptop, or really comparing to my daily needs and all of that stuff. If you are interested, just keep watching. Okay, so first off, I want to talk about my iPad configuration. And this is the iPad Pro 2019. And I got the one in 11-inch. This is 64 gigabytes, which is the lowest internal storage you can get for the iPad. And I just wanted to tell some reasons why I got the 11-inch and why I got the 64 gigabytes. So first of all, I kind of knew where I was going with the iPad. I knew I was gonna use it just mainly for note-taking and probably just doing some general work on it, and also maybe like watching videos or watching Netflix and stuff like that. So I didn't feel like I would need a lot of storage. There wasn't a lot of stuff I need to download. And why I got the 11-inch was because first of all, the 12.5 or 12-inch is just much more expensive, and this one itself is already kind of expensive compared to the other models of the iPad lineup, because this is one of the higher end. And I felt like 12-inch was also just really big, and I already have a 13-inch MacBook Pro, as you can see over here, so I did not feel like I needed a big screen. And from what I've been watching a lot of tech videos nowadays, and they really say that unless you are a professional graphic designer, you really need the space to draw or do work or all of that. There isn't really a point into getting a 12-inch unless you really need it for whatever workload you have. And I feel like for an average student who's just taking notes, having fun, watching videos, it's a better option, I feel like. And it fits in my backpack perfectly and is very lightweight too. That's why I got the 11-inch. And then let's talk about accessories. I have the Apple Pencil 2nd Gen, which is the only Apple Pencil that works with the iPad Pro. This one is magnetic, so it sticks onto your iPad like that, which is very nice and very convenient to charge. It charges magnetically, so you don't really have to worry about like plugging it into your iPad to charge, and you don't have to worry about losing it like if you misplace it or something. For the case, one that I'm using right now is the OtterBox 360 folio case. But right now this one is on sale, so I just picked it up because I wanted a more sturdy case. I've been using this one at home because it holds on to the pencil. I don't have to worry about losing the pencil. And also when I put stuff in my backpack, I don't know, it's like every time I always have to dig in to look for my Apple Pencil. Even though it's magnetic, it still falls if you like hinge it a little bit. Like it's not like a really strong magnetic, which is not meant to be really strong magnetic, but it's just that when you're in your bag and there's nothing to hold on to it, it just falls apart. The only issue with this one is that because it's not magnetic over here, it's very flimsy. Like it doesn't stick onto the iPad, and sometimes when I have it, it just falls apart. Before I had this one, which was just a really cheap Amazon one that I first got when I bought my iPad. This is also just magnetic. You can just slide it here. The issue with this one is that it was really weak. Like I really felt like my iPad was gonna break and I had to take care of my iPad. This case did not protect my iPad at all. I don't know how I did it, but one day I looked at my iPad and there was like a chip on the edge, so obviously this case did not protect my iPad from denting. Really would not recommend this if you're going to go to a lot of places with your iPad. And later on I felt like I needed a keyboard with it. I feel like it's very essential with the iPad that if you're going to type, you're gonna need a keyboard. But with a lot more typing work being done and I was doing PowerPoints, I was typing stuff on my iPad because I was bringing it to school. So I picked up this iPad Magic Keyboard, and I really like how there is 2 slots here so you can change different positions. This is like a more straighter one, this is like a more angled one. and it's very lightweight. I know they came out with the new Magic keyboard. I didn't get it personally because I already have this. Many people say the downside of that one is that it's really heavy. And I feel like the whole point of having the iPad is light, it's convenient, and I don't think I would want to bring an extra like super heavy keyboard with my iPad if I'm looking for that convenient, lightweight kind of feeling, I guess. I might as well just bring my MacBook Pro, like, but I really do feel like I like this one. And it's very thick and it really feels like it's sturdy compared to this like $10 one I got on Amazon. I feel like a lot of issues people have is the keyboard in the back when you have your iPad in the front. Before I thought that would be an issue, but honestly it doesn't trigger anything on the iPad when it's disconnected. This one is like waterproof. I believe it's waterproof. It's like water resistant. I feel like it's not like an actual like kind of keyboard. I don't know what you say it, but it's like there's like sort of like plastic or fabric on top, so if you spill anything on top it'll be okay. And then for my screen protector, I felt like getting a screen protector would affect my viewing experience, but after a while I really felt like I needed one because I was writing more. And if you've tried using the iPad before, there's like no friction on the screen, so when you write it's really easy to just like slide. I feel like with this kind of matte kind of screen protector you have more control because there's more friction between the pencil and the screen itself, so you have more friction, more control, and it's just easier to write and you have a better writing experience on the iPad. And I do really recommend you guys getting one, like even though it kind of does affect the viewing experience, but it's not a drastic difference. If you're writing a lot of notes or anything, I feel like getting like a matte paper like screen protector is very essential to your writing experience on the iPad. You can connect your mouse to the iPad. Like people say it's very convenient, but honestly if I can use my fingers I am not gonna use the mouse. With the new Apple update, you can use your iPad as a second screen for your MacBook. It's very convenient. You just click a button and it syncs. Like when I was taking my test, I felt like the split screen was just too small for me because I had to read the problem and then type and stuff, so I just set up 2 screens and I moved my typing screen on one and I read my problems on one. Like just gave me more like reading space, which is kind of cool. Like if you ever need like an extra screen, the iPad could serve as like an extra screen. So
one thing I totally forgot to talk about was Apple Pencil tips, and they're basically replacement tips for your pencil, and I think they are very essential because if you write a lot with your pencil, your Apple Pencil will get dull, and that was an issue I had. And so I bought a pack just so I can have, you know, backups, and if I ever need replacements, they are there. The new Apple Pencil does not come with a spare Apple Pencil tip like the first generation does, but I do think that it's good to just have some just in case.
Okay, now let's talk about apps that I use on the iPad. GoodNotes, that's like the ones I use the most. I've convinced my friends to get it too during this quarantine because we've been taking notes on the iPad instead of writing on paper. GoodNotes is a very, very popular app for the iPad. Before, I've been using GoodNotes to read and annotate my textbooks and just take notes, write stuff, do work and stuff like that. I've been doing some planning on here, but I find myself doing off track. I can't keep up with planners. For me, I've been taking notes on here and I really like this because it's just very straightforward. I have not tried Notability yet, which is like another note-taking app that's very popular. Apparently that one can like record lectures too, but I'm in high school right now, so there's no need for me to record my lectures. Those is a very straightforward app. It's very easy to get used to it. There's just a lot of things you can do with it. You can add pictures, you can write stuff, you can highlight, and I just love it. I was taking my physics notes with this and it's so nice, so satisfying. Can you use notes instead of GoodNotes? I feel like GoodNotes, they have so much templates and so many options to choose from, and it really feels like you're writing in a notebook. They have 3 different pens you can choose from. They have highlighter. I mean, yes, notes have that too, but I feel like GoodNotes really gives you the full experience of writing on iPad, and you can print out the PDF, and just there's a lot of things you can play with on there. So I feel like this is like the top app that I recommend out of all the apps I've used on the iPad. So the next 3 I'm going to talk about is just general apps that I use for school because my school uses the Google system. I use Google Drive to kind of store everything, and if I ever need to upload any pictures, or if my iPad runs out of storage, which I have not encountered that problem yet, even with the 64 gig, I upload it on my Google Drive. Speaking of how much storage I have left, let's check. So out of 64, I've only used 27 gigs. So that's a long way to go. So I feel like 64 is enough for me. And then I use Google Docs for documents because that's what my school uses the most often. So I have that downloaded too. And then Google Classroom, it's just, you know, checking schoolwork and stuff like that. From GoodNotes, you can automatically upload stuff to Classroom and you don't have to do like any like extra like compressing or transferring. It just sends straight to Classroom, which is really cool. I feel like it's very convenient. And I use ticktick, which is like a calendar app. It is a paid app, but I like the format of it, but I don't think it's an essential app. I've been using it and I like it. So, and another one is Notion. This is like a new app that I've been playing around with, and you can use this on the iPad, on your phone, on your MacBook, which I've been doing. It syncs all my notes on my MacBook to my iPad and my iPad to my MacBook. I really like it because you can do like little toggles. You can take notes, you can plan, you can organize, you can do like checklists and reading lists. In the beginning it was really hard to get my hands on it, but now I think I really like it. I used it to study my 8-push test, and I really like how you can make different headlines and then you can just toggle everything open as you need it instead of like a whole page of notes. You can't really print it because there is that like kind of interactive effect on it. I use camscanner, which is scanning documents, or like if you ever need anything digitally but you don't have like a scanner, you can't get a PDF version of it. I feel like it's very convenient. I don't really use it because I've been getting a lot of stuff as PDF, but if I ever need it, it's there. I've used it once or twice. It makes everything kind of just like a PDF. If you ever need that, I feel like camscanner is a good app for that. And then just a bunch of random stuff. I have Desmos, graphing calculator, I have a calculator, and then I have Chegg, which is just looking up answers, and then I have iBooks, which is reading. I've been reading this one book recently. It's pretty good. I'm a very slow reader though. It takes me like 2 months to finish a book. So I have 2 apps that I use for kind of art, I guess. I'm not an artist, so don't count on me for explaining this professionally, but I use Procreate and Autodesk Sketchbook. Procreate is you have to pay for it, and then Autodesk Sketchbook is free. Personally, I like Procreate better. I feel like Procreate is very easy to get your hands on if you ever worked with Photoshop or Illustrator, because the outline of it is just very similar. And then Autodesk Sketchbook, I used that in the beginning. I feel like if you're not doing anything like super intense drawing, you don't really need Procreate, but I feel like Procreate is just a much more easier tool to get your hands on and very easy to get used to, and you can play around with a lot more things on Procreate. And I use it to kind of draw sometimes, and I use it to make my thumbnails. Okay, and now let's talk about the pros and cons about the iPad. And this is purely my opinion on the pros and cons. I feel like everyone has different opinions about what's good and what's bad about the iPad. So pros about the iPad, in my opinion, is that it's very convenient. It's very lightweight. It doesn't feel heavy compared to the MacBook. A lot of things you can do on here that's very daily essential. Type, you can do PowerPoints, you can watch videos, and it's very portable compared to the MacBook or like any laptop you have. I feel like that's like a really big pro about the iPad, and you can draw, you can do a lot of things on it. I don't know if this is like a big thing to anyone, but this is like going paperless, so you're kind of saving paper and not using everything on paper. I know nowadays you still need to print stuff out, but with this you can really conserve it and you don't have to print that much stuff out. And then I'm gonna talk about con, which is I have a pretty long list about it that I typed out, but I just want to say that the iPad is expensive. I think this one was $6.99, I think, first when I got this, which is like double the price of a regular iPad that Apple sells. I think Apple has like 3 kind of iPads, like iPad Air, the iPad, and then an iPad mini, and then now they have the Pro. I feel like this one, the Pro, is so much better of like a writing experience. Like when you're writing with the iPad Air, a regular iPad, it really feels like there's like a gap between your pencil and the screen, but with the iPad Pro it really feels like you're writing directly on the screen, which is, I feel like it's very like different kind of experience. If you're gonna use it for like a lot of daily note-taking, or if you want to watch a lot of videos, like the screen is unbeatable. Like I love the screen of the iPad. This will give you the best iPad experience. And I think another bad thing about the iPad is that you can't really edit or do anything super professional on it. You can't use any like Adobe stuff. Lightroom is not the same on the iPad. People have said that you can edit on the iPad, but that really requires you to boost up your storage, because you're gonna be putting a lot of videos in there, and you're gonna come down to almost the same price as the MacBook. So I feel like at that point you might as well get a MacBook, like, because you can just do so much more stuff on the MacBook anyways. Yeah, many people have asked me if you can do editing or like video editing on the iPad. My answer is not like super professional editing on it. Like it's gonna be really basic things. Like, you can't really be adding a lot of graphics to it, and it's just gonna be really basic editing. And then another bad thing I feel like is that I don't really use it to its full purpose. I think last year or this year there was like a point where I just didn't touch it for like a whole week because I didn't really need it. But sometimes I just really don't need it for note-taking because not everything was online back then, and I just didn't really use it that often. So yeah, I feel like that's another bad thing, is that not using it to its full purpose. And I just felt like I was wasting money. Like, I was like, oh, what is that for? Yeah. But now I'm using a lot more, so I kind of feel like I'm using it with a purpose. But sometimes I really do feel like when it's just left there, I don't do anything with it because there's no work for me to do. I feel kind of bad. And then another thing is the typing. So with the iPad, if you're gonna be looking to take notes with typing or anything, you're gonna need a keyboard, which is another rack on top of getting the iPad most often. If you're trying to get a very good experience of typing, the keyboard you're gonna get is probably gonna be a rack. So, and then I have some questions that people have left me before, so we'll just answer them. People have said that it bends. When I first got it, I saw all these videos about the iPad bending and stuff like that, but for me, that wasn't an issue. I did not see my iPad bend. You know, you really should be treating these things with care, like, not like excessive care. I didn't really do it like it was like a little baby or something, but I really do feel like, you know, don't drop it, don't bend it on purpose. You know, don't be doing stuff you're doing to a Nokia with it. How do I download my textbooks? So most often I can find them online, or if my teacher can send me a PDF of it, then I'll just download it from them. Battery life. The battery life is actually pretty impressive than what I thought of. It's been 2 years since I've had the iPad, and my battery does not die like in a second like how my phone is. For me, if I am not doing a lot of work on it and I'm not watching videos on it all day long, I only have to charge it maybe like once a day at the end of the night. Like, if it's charged in the morning, it'll last me till the end of the night. So I think it's pretty good. MacBook versus iPad. Okay, so I have the MacBook Pro 13-inch, and I honestly feel like getting a iPad is kind of like an accessory to your MacBook, because there's just a lot more things you can do in your MacBook. The MacBook typing experience is so much better than having an iPad and typing on it. With the cursor, with the mouse, with the keyboard, it's just so much more different. You can do so much more professional things with it if you ever need it, and I feel like iPad would really just be like something on top of thing, like if you have a PC or if you have a laptop and you're looking for a more convenient way of traveling with your work or traveling while doing work. It's good for like school, but at the end of the day, if you're gonna type, if you're gonna write anything, you're gonna do graphic work, or if you're gonna edit videos or do all of that, I really do feel like the experience with the MacBook or like with a laptop or a PC is just gonna be so much better. Getting a MacBook would be a better choice if you're debating between the two, and that's how I feel about it. But it's really completely up to you how you're gonna use these devices. And if you're not gonna be typing a lot and you're just using this to take notes and all of that, then iPad is gonna be a cheaper option for you. But if you think about it, on top, you're gonna have to get a Apple Pencil, you're gonna have to get a keyboard. It's gonna come down to around the same price as a regular Apple laptop. So unless you're getting like the lower end models, but I feel like a lot of people are going with the iPad Pro nowadays. So if you think about it, like, they're gonna be about the same price. And honestly, I feel the MacBook a lot more in different aspects, like professional work aspects. So on you kind of decision. And that is the end of the video for today. If you guys enjoyed it, please don't forget to give it a like and subscribe, and follow me on Instagram if you want to do that. You don't have to, but you're lame if you don't. So, and that is it for today's video. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave it down below and I will be answering them. And that is it for today. Thank you guys for watching my video once again and making it to the end. You guys are the real ones. Bye guys, see you guys next time.